Hey, Dr. Brandy here, and I want to chat with you a little bit about genetics. So before we even go there, use common sense. If you have a problem or a predisposition to something, see a doctor. Okay, let's start there. This is for educational purposes only. But what we know is that our genes respond to our environment. So if you have a family history of cardiovascular disease or a family history of diabetes or breast cancer or something like that, before you go thinking that just because it's a family pattern, it doesn't mean that you have to get it, okay? So the very first thing I recommend doing is looking at your lifestyle and seeing, is there anything that you can do or change or shift in your lifestyle that might help prevent things like cardiovascular disease, genetic issues, like diabetes or cancer, those kinds of things. It's been studies have shown, and I read one on Stanford yesterday that said that 70 to 90% of what we believe genetic problems, or I should say chronic issues, 70 to 90% of chronic issues, there we go, are related to the environment. So this is a really huge thing where we can actually shift our propensity to get things like chronic diseases that are killing people in our world, in our communities. I have a patient that has a heart disease as a pattern in their family. And so I did a cardiometabolic test on her. I did a micronutrient test on her. And what we found is she actually has the gene for very high risk for heart disease. And so instead of just leaving her with that, we started to mitigate the problem by supplementing her body with the nutrients that we found to be deficient in her body. So specifically for her, she had a deficiency in carnitine. And carnitine happens to be one of those things that will lower the lab values or the genetic markers on that lab. It's called lipoprotein A. And that lab marker can be affected by certain nutrients, and for her specifically it was carnitine. It could also be a whole host of other things, but this is the beauty in being able to do the micronutrient test and look at, okay, what is it exactly that will help mitigate these potentials for her and her family. This happens across the board for everything from diabetes to heart disease to cancer. I mean, these are the biggest things that are killing people in our world, and we actually have the ability to make change in a huge way. The other way you can do that is look at the thoughts that you think. So our thoughts are things, and our thoughts shift our physiology. If you just take a minute to think about a lemon, and if you actually close your eyes and think about a lemon and really think about like cutting it open and smelling it, and maybe the juice runs down your finger into a cut, and maybe even tasting it. And by now, you may have like your saliva is starting to produce, you're having a feeling that, you actually took a bite of a lemon or felt the burn in your cut. And this is all your mind, because your mind controls your physiology. And so if we're sitting around thinking about, oh man, grandma had breast cancer, I'm probably going to get breast cancer. Or even if we're thinking, grandma had breast cancer, I'm going to do everything I can to avoid breast cancer, that could still be a mental mind fart, if you will, that's getting you caught up in the mindset of having the problem. So just take a look at your mental mindset and see if there's anything you can do to change that. There are lots of different things that therapies that you can do to work on those kinds of things. I know personally I work with patients on removing the subconscious interference, because although our conscious mind goes, okay, grandma had breast cancer, I'm not going to get breast cancer, but on a subconscious level, if you still believe that, well, I don't know, every single woman in our family has gotten it, and I'm a woman, and like that subconscious belief pattern will override everything else. And so it's vital to remove the subconscious belief patterns. There's lots of different techniques to do this, but it's what saved my own life. I know that for a fact. So this is why I share this with as many people as I know. But just sit down and start If you can't do a test and you can't see me or another practitioner, just journal it out. Just start working on your own self and going, okay, where is it that I may be hanging myself up? Where is it that I may be getting in my own way and actually creating a reality that I don't really want to experience? And when you start to ask your subconscious to reveal that stuff to you and you write it down on paper, that the things will come up that you can work on, and just bringing consciousness to it is the first step. So anyway, I hope that helps. If you have had any of these experiences or have had help with removing subconscious emotional patterns and it's worked for you, I would love to hear about that and to hear about what your experience is. So anyway, have a beautiful day, and I will see you again soon. Hopefully, I see you at the open house. So the open house, again, is on Tuesday, April 2nd from 12 to 6, and come and join in on some food and some really fun treatment sessions with other practitioners and tour alpine botanicals. We're going to have a great time. So I hope to see you there.